Hello, that is Ukraine Pig Grow on the camera. Yes, I'm back again with the same issue of a cultivation of a farm in terms of rearing of animal. That is the topic. Ukraine Pig Grow is online. If you love this video and want to see more one, please consider subscribing. And I want to use today, wanted to use this medium to talk a little about how we can have a target when rearing livestock like pig. Want to talk about having a target when we are rearing of livestock in terms of pig. If you are a farmer, most time you want to have a target that you want to meet. You arrange a certain period of time and have a target that you want to meet. At the end of that period of time, you just excavate. So today, I want to analyze how we can have a target of 50 piglets, which will later become mature pigs. I want to talk about how we can have a target of having at least 50 piglets, which will later become 50 mature pigs. How can we do this? First, before you can have 50 piglets, you have to have at least 4 or 5 sow. What I mean by sow there is the female mature pig. Female mature pig that are 4 female mature pigs. And then you have a boar, 1 male mature pig that is fertilized, which can fertilize the soil. Yes, you need to have 4 female mature sow and 1 male mature boar. When you have these 5 pigs, 1 boar, 4 sow. Now, according to study and research, we know that pig do heat every 3 weeks. That is, if the sow is on heat, after 3 weeks, the sow will get heat. 4 days time, if you don't make them, it has gone. That period has gone. You have to wait again till another 3 weeks. Then during these 4 days, you have to make sure that within the 4 days, you give them over to the boar to fertilize them. Yes. If you do not, or it is not mated, and the pig have not taken in, that means they will have to come back in heat in the next 4 weeks, or the next 3 weeks, I'm sorry. In the next 3 weeks, it will come back to heat again. That is what I'm saying, is that the sow will heat every 3 weeks. Yes. Now, since your 4 sow is to heat in every 3 weeks, what do you have to do in order to get these 50 piglets? You have to make sure that the 4 sow that you have will heat in the same time. It may be this one will hit this week. After 10 days, this one will take to hit. After 7 days, this one will take to hit. After this one will get to hit, take to hit. What you got to do is that you arrange a time where all of them will get hit in at least the same 10 days. It may happen that 3 of your sow will get to hit in a particular week. This one will start hitting in Tuesday. This one is start hitting on Thursday. The other one will start hitting on Sunday. And while the other one will start hit the next Sunday, which is another 14 days. What you got to do is to delay some of them. You did not get the method. You wait to another 1 week or another 2 weeks when all of your pulsar will hit at the same 10 days. When your pulsar would hit at the same 10 days. That's what I mean. It may be that this one will hit on 15, the other one will hit on 17, the other one will hit on 22, the other one will hit on 27. You count that, you discover that all of them hit in the next 10 days. That is from 15 to 25. We have 10 days. If you count from 15, that is 15 days, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 25. We have 10 days. You are pulsar it within 10 days. And you make sure that you met all of them within that 10 days. When you met all your pulsar within 10 days, now we know that peak dew taken in a matter of 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days, which is approximately 4 months. 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days, approximately 4 months. That is when your peak will take in. Incubation period I'm talking about. So since all of them is about to have taken in within 10 days, so you know that all of them will deliver in at least the same month or in the same 2 weeks. Yes. If you make sure that all of them is fertilized within 10 days, you will reassure that all of them will give birth in the same at least 2 weeks, if not the same month. Yes. Now, since all of them will give birth in the same month, and the breed I talk about that you will select as one of the best breed among the 4 breeds that I give as a suggestion to be selected, most of them do give birth of about 12 to 17. 12 to 17, especially depending on the level of maturity of the soil. So if all of them will give birth to at least 12 to 17 piglet per farrow, that means you are to have about 50 piglets in the same month. You are about to have 50 piglets or more in a month. Do not forget the soil is 4. All of them take to heat within 10 days. You fertilize them within the same 10 days. Then the incubation period for all of them will be in the same 4 months. And they are about to deliver at the end of 4 months. And that same month that they will deliver, since each of them is to deliver within 12 to 17, depending on the type of breed that you are having. If you are having the Duroc, which is the most higher among them in bird delivery, even the Poland China, any of the two, you reassure that you will have about 14 to 17 piglet within those 2 breeds. If it is large white or land race, you reassure that you will have within 12 to 14. Then you are expected about 50 piglets in the same month. Most times you may experience mortality among the piglet, like some of the piglet may die. Well, there are issues we can do, there are things we have and we will do in order to stop the mortality and make sure that all of your pig gets alive. I will talk about that later when we want to talk about management of the pregnant sow and how to care about the those in farrow and those giving birth and the rest. We talk about how to take care of those piglets, especially 24 hours after birth. what you got to do in the first 24 hours of life so as to reduce the mortality rate of those piglets. Then now let's assume that you are able to reduce the mortality rate or to stop your pig from dying, because most pig do give birth like 3 times within 1.5 years. Then none of them died. That's because of the effort of the farmer and how caring the mother is. Yes. So now within that period that you have a pig give birth to like 3 times without dying, if you have such that kind of sow, that means you are able to have 50 piglets at the end of 4 months. Then these 50 piglets that came at the end of 4 months, all of them nearly are in the same age because they born in the same month. Then you now have 50 piglets in your house. This is where we come to what we call a target when called rearing pigs. This is what we call a target. You want these 50 pigs to mature at the same time, and you want to sell all of them off at the same time. Then your money will come in bulk. You don't want you sell this one today, sell the other one today. No. If you don't do this in your farming system, you may not meet up with other farmers. That's why most of the farmers will see their income, use their income for something better, while the other one will not see the income, or even though they see, they cannot use it for something tangible. But this one, since you have a target, your target is 50 piglets, and these 50 piglets have come to bed at the same month, and you want to feed 50 of them at the same time so that all the 50 get matured at the same time. You have to get prepared. Yes. Get prepared in terms of feeding, because they will eat a lot of food. You have to arrange yourself and know that these 50 piglets, after selling them off, you get your money in bulk. Which money you can use to improve your farm, which money you can use to improve yourself, which money you can use to even buy land or build a standard pigsty. So when you got this target, it's easy to realize your money in bulk. But if you don't have a target, well, you will still make the income in your farming, but you will not be able to see the money in bulk so that you use it to further or improve your farming system. That's why we encourage farmers to have a target. Okay, now that you have got your target is about 50 piglets. Your first have just given birth. You now have your 50 piglets in your pigsty. What you got to do is to take a very good care of those piglets so that you don't have much mortality. We will talk about how to take care of those piglets. Then currently we are dealing on having the target. Now, after you might have got your 50 pigs, they have now begin to grow, and as they are growing, do not forget that you are about to leave your farm in between 5 months to 6 months time. That is your targeted period. After their birth, you have another 5 to 6 months to gather for them, and you are about to sell them off in the same time of 5 to 6 months of their age. Why I say 5 to 6 months, if their weight is not they are not big enough, or the price that you will sell them will not be too better when they are 5 months, at least they will be much better when they are 6 months. It all depends on how you feed them. It is better you feed them very good with proteinous food if you are to have a high income. We talked about that earlier. You have to give them food as much as they can eat. Do not forget they are on target. So you give them a good food and give them as much as they can eat. The more they eat, the more bigger they become, and the more the money they will buy, you will sell it, will improve. So since you are having a target of 50 pigs, you are feeding them well, they are growing well. Let's assume that it's now 5 months. You look at the pig, look around, some of them will be much bigger than most of them. Yes. But all this depends on where you keep their 50 pigs, when you separate them from their mother, how many you feed them per pig, how they are feeding. But the truth is that all of your 50 pigs cannot be in the same size and is the same weight when you are about to sell them in 5 to 6 months. They can never be. Some of them will be bigger, some of them will be much bigger, some of them will not even be big enough. But they must all go. You still have to sell them because you are on target. So what you got to do is that when you feed them very well and in hungry 5 to 6 months, it's time for them to go. You want to sell them. You have to arrange somebody or some group of people or marketer who will be able to buy all of them at the same time. Perhaps you can give them a flat rate. Whether it is bigger, average, not too bigger, they must have to go in a flat rate, so that the person that is buying will also make this gain. All will be able to buy all of them at the same time. You have to sell them depending on the size. Well, it's not too bad, but you won't be able to calculate how much you are ending. And most time the person that is buying may decide to buy the big ones. Select the big ones and buy, leave the small one. At the end, the small one become a problem to you, and you cannot, and your target come to have an issue. Because when you have a target, you must have a specific amount of money that you are looking for at the end of these 6 months. Yes. So for you to realize your money in short, make sure that the group of people or a person who is buying your 50 pig buy at the same flat rates. Whether it is big, it is smaller, it is so. You give them a flat rate that will favor. If this one is small, it will make a gain from the one is big. If this one is average, and like that. So when they buy at the flat rate, you now have the estimated amount that you plan in your heart. You will see it. But if you are to sell them depending on the size, you start selling from those smaller ones. I want to encourage. If you are to sell them depending on the size, this one is small, so you want to sell it like $5 or $6 or $10 or $100, or it will not be $100. $100 is too much. Let's say $10 or so. Start selling from the little one, the smaller one, the one that is not too big. You start selling from those small ones. When you are able to sell those ones that cannot be big enough off, then you come to the one that are average, then you sell the biggest one the last. Why you should do that is that since you want to sell all these your 50 pig at the same time, maybe you want to use 2 weeks to finish them off. First, start with the smaller ones. As you are selling the smaller one off, you realize that those big ones will become even more bigger before you get to the time you will sell them. Thereby the price increases the more. But if you start with selling those bigger ones before you get to the smaller one, you will be discouraged from what you see. And the person that buy the big one, when coming to the smaller one, will likely want to reduce the price, which is not good with you. So you start by selling those smaller ones off before you come to the middle one, and lastly to the biggest one. But I will encourage that you give them out in a flat rate that will favor the buyer and also favor you, so that you can realize the exact money that you were planning to get. Now let's realize that you have been able to have your 50 pig, and you have gathered for them very well. It's now 5 to 6 months. You have been able to sell them all in a flat rate. How much do you realize? You see the money now. Yes, the money have come now in bulk. So what is in your mind? Are you planning to build your pigsty? Are you planning to buy a land in order to build your pigsty, or you are planning to change this particular one to a standard stick pea or pigsty? So you must have something to do with this target. What I'm saying is that if you cannot do anything tangible with the target, the suffering, the time, the effort you prepare in order to realize your target may be like in vain. In fact, it will not even be a target, because you cannot realize anything out of your target. But if you are able to do something tangible with it, now you have seen your target. Then at the end, You will now plan how to hit a bigger target, this time 250 piglet. You got to prepare, okay? Anytime you having a target, you got to prepare. Gather your strength. Prepare in terms of feeding and medication. You have to buy plenty of feed and also have adequate medication in stock for them, because you are on a target. And this, your target will not be so high because so long, because we are talking about 5 to 6 months. They will consume a lot of food. 250 pigs we are talking about this time, they will consume a lot of food. But at the end of the day, when you sell them off, you realize that you now have a more bigger budget with the money you just realized. Then you can now plan more bigger. We know nothing's come easy, everything is tough to get. But as I said, when you are determined, when you are focused, when you want to get it, you are courageous, it's easy to get to where you are looking to or where you are going. It's very easy. But when you are discouraged, would I be able to succeed? What if all of them died? What about feeding? This, you will be discouraged. And discouragement is not good when you are on target. You must not have to be discouraged, because if you are discouraged, that means you may even give up and your target becomes something else. But when you are determined, this 5 months to 6 months is time of concentration. You can get to where you are looking for. Now, please, we have narrated a little about how we can have a target when there is on pigs. How many pigs are you targeting? What you must have in order to realize your target. As I have said about targeting 50 piglet, which will later become mature pigs. You have to get at least 4 sow. That's what you need. 1 bar. This 1 bar will fertilize the 4 sow at the same period of time of about 10 days or so. They will heat, or they will take in as incubated for a period of about 3 weeks or 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. That is approximately 4 months. They will now get birth. After some time, you get them off from the mother, feed them very fine. Then at the end of 4 to 5 months, you sell them off. When you sell them off, you now realize your money. Yes. And later talk about how you could use this same process to target 250 pigs. When I talk about 250 pigs, it starts from piglets. How do you get this? As I said, you start, this one will not be 4 sow. If you are targeted 250, you need to have 20 sow. Yes. 250, you need to have 20 sow. Not 1 bar again, but this time 2 to 3 boa that will be able to fertilize the 20 sow. And the period of fertility of this 20 sow will not be around 10 days. We will narrate a little more better on this particular one. This time, the incubation period of them will be about 1 to 2 months, because the number is larger now. And the 20 sow will not give birth in a month, but you give them about 2 to 3 months. Yes. And the time you will sell them off will be between 5, 6, 7 months. Because what I'm saying is they are plenty. Yes. Well, we will talk more better about that one, but today we were focusing on how to have a target of about 50 pigs, which will come from the piglet. So now, when you are able to hit your target, you will realize your money. When you realize your money, make sure that you use this money in a good, budget it for something better. Either you use it to build a better, a moderate, or a standard pigsty. When I say pigsty, I mean the pig house where they will sleep, where they will shelter. Maybe you were managing the other one, but with this target that you have just hit, you now get a better place. Well, when we talk of hitting target, you may ask, where would I get the money to hit my target? Well, we will talk about how you can still use the same income you make from the same farm to focus on your target and hit it. We will talk about that later. We'll talk about how you can use the same income you realize from the same farm, have the target, and use the same income to hit the target. That's what we will talk about sometimes when we meet. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. That was Ukraine P Grow on the camera. See you again next time.